Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 greatest Bruce Lee fight scenes of all time. For this list, we'll be looking at the most mind-bending, intense, unforgettable moments when the martial arts legend was at the skillful top of his craft. Which is your favorite scene? Let us know in the comments. Number 20. Catos' first fight, the Green Hornet. We may as well start from the beginning. Bruce Lee broke into the American mainstream by playing Cato in the short-lived ABC action show, The Green Hornet.
Cato, get the Black Beauty ready to roll.
The first time we see Lee in action, he's dispatching a small group of armed baddies in an apartment. Unfortunately, the fight is very brief, and we aren't given a lot of time to admire Lee's obvious talent. But there's still plenty here to enjoy, like the swift kick of the box and hand-to-hand takedowns of two men.
Close the door.
It obviously pales against what would come, but it's a fun introduction to the martial arts legend of our time. Number 19. Tong Loon vs. Gangsters, The Way of the Dragon. Bruce Lee directs himself in this classic film, in which he plays a martial artist sent to protect a restaurant from mobsters.
阿龙啊，那帮流氓要是一天不走，还有谁敢到这儿来吃东西呢？哎。
In this wonderful fight sequence outside the restaurant, Lee, clad in a very commanding black, takes on the gangsters through a masterful use of Chinese boxing. There are takedowns aplenty, like skillful leg sweeps and brutal kicks to the face. One belly kick even sends a goon flying off screen like he's been yanked by a wire. The fight also carries a light and hilarious tone, as Lee's character seems completely disinterested. The goons were obviously underleveled for this boss fight.
你们不要这么高兴啊！这次闯了祸了，以后啊可就麻烦了。
Number 18. The Strike Fight, The Big Boss. This film from 1971 was Bruce Lee's first major movie role, and what an introduction it was. He plays Chen, a pacifist Chinese man who is forced to break his oath of non-violence.
不要打！这是我们自己人的误会。
The employees of an ice factory go on strike, and the titular big boss sends his goons to break it up. Xiaomi defends the employees, and Bruce Lee does his thing. The scene has a large scope, featuring dozens of fighting men wielding all sorts of weapons. Of course, things get real crazy when Lee gets involved, and he single-handedly takes down scores of goons with a flurry of kicks and punches. They never stood a chance, even with their numbers. Number 17. Tong Loon vs. the Mafia, The Way of the Dragon. We saw Tong Loon single-handedly defeat the gangsters outside the restaurant, and now he's taking the fight literally into Mafia headquarters. This time, though, he's not alone.
唐龙，你以为他会来啊？
Someone manages to land a punch on Tong, which only infuriates him and causes him to shed his jacket. The universal sign for stuff just got real. He wastes no time opening up a can of you-know-what on his opposition, and it's incredibly campy and incredibly entertaining. At one point, he's even completely surrounded by 4 goons, but he easily wipes them out with a number of solid kicks. Now that's how you make your presence known. Number 16. Bruce Lee vs. Robert Wall, The Way of the Dragon. Robert Wall was a highly decorated American martial artist who trained under Chuck Norris and became a 9th-degree black belt in Tang Soo Do. His talent made this fight scene all the more eye-popping. Bruce Lee as Tong Loon takes on both Robert Wall and Wang In-6 characters in The Way of the Dragon, and the sequence is an amazing display of athleticism. Lee takes out Wall with a punch to the, well, you know, and he completely manhandles Wang with body slams and face kicks. It's a lot of fun, and the scene is filmed in such a way that it captures every glorious detail without distracting cuts and edits. Number 15. The Street Alley Fight, The Way of the Dragon. We return to The Way of the Dragon for this extended fight sequence that takes place in a street alley. Lee's Tong Loon comes across a number of enemies and dispatches them with relative ease.
Put your hands down. Come on.
He's usually more of a hand-to-hand fighter, with his fists often proving deadly weapons in their own right, but he utilizes a number of aids throughout this battle, including a wooden staff and nunchaku. This brawl has everything you'd ever want: Lee's unbelievable dexterity, vicious takedowns, some great stunts, and exaggerated sound effects that'll have you smiling from ear to ear. Number 14. Bruce Lee vs. Mako, the Green Hornet. Mako was a talented Japanese-American actor who was nominated for both a Tony and an Oscar, but his talents didn't stop there. Mako appeared in the Green Hornet episode The Praying Mantis for a battle with Bruce Lee's Cato.
Now, we're not playing any games.
Stay out of this, Slate. What do you say, Lo Sing? Man against man.
Once again, the fight is painfully brief, lasting only about 20 seconds. Nevertheless, it's a highly memorable bit of television with both actors giving it their all. Mako's Lo Sing proves a skilled fighter, but Cato comes out on top after a series of punches straight to the liver. Lo Sing collapses like a statue, and viewers are left in amazement at what they just witnessed. Number 13. The Shaolin Temple Fight, Enter the Dragon. There are martial arts films, and then there's Enter the Dragon. Released about a month after Lee passed away, it is widely regarded as his masterpiece and arguably the greatest martial arts movie of all time.
I see your talents have gone beyond the mere physical level. Your skills are now at the point of spiritual insight.
Its quality is evident from the opening scene, which sees a shirtless Bruce Lee take on martial artist Jackie Chan and collaborator Sammo Hung. The melee delivers on its promise and the prestige behind the names. Both men throw their bodies around like ragdolls, with Hung taking the brunt of the damage. In many ways, this scene belongs to him. We're left in total amazement as he performs backflips and throws himself to the ground again and again. Number 12. Bruce Lee vs. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Game of Death. When we think of great martial artists, Bruce Lee is undoubtedly near the top of the list. Basketball player Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not so much. While widely known for his skills on the court, Abdul-Jabbar was actually an amateur martial artist who studied under Lee. He even appeared in Lee's unfinished film Game of Death, playing Hakim. While their fight might seem like a novelty, it's nothing short of enjoyable. Lee dons his iconic yellow and black jumpsuit, and Abdul-Jabbar proves himself a competent fighter with a fluid moveset and great range. Plus, that size difference is really something else. However, Lee's character ultimately emerges victorious, proving that a smart and adaptable approach can withstand a significant size disadvantage. Number 11. Underground Base Fight, Enter the Dragon. It's no wonder Enter the Dragon is held in such high esteem when it contains scenes like this. The fight takes place in an underground base and exhibits a fantastic structure that helps keep things fresh. Lee begins the brawl unarmed, dealing damage with nothing but his fists and legs, allowing us to savor every little detail and move. The fracas only ramps up as it goes, with numerous weapons and obstacles being brought into the mix. It's a brilliant showcase for Lee's wide-ranging talents, and it perfectly represents what makes him such an endearing figure in pop culture. Number 10. Chen vs. Petrov, Fist of Fury.
Let me take care of him.
Size does not always make a difference. Fist of Fury places Bruce Lee's Chen in a string of lopsided battles, only for the martial artist to prove repeatedly that no odds are insurmountable. Nearing the climax of the film, Chen takes on a Russian powerhouse known for bending metal bars. In an exciting battle of styles and temperaments, Chen responds to each one of Petrov's powerful attacks with vicious strikes and kicks that leave the Russian constantly on the ropes. Although by no means brief, this fight is shockingly one-sided. Number 9. Mr. Lee and Roper versus Han's men. Enter the Dragon. As Enter the Dragon reaches its conclusion, Han's private martial arts tournaments erupts into a massive brawl after Roper takes out the crime lord's main guard. Roper and Mr. Lee come together to take on an army of Han's goons, with the heroes eventually being aided by a group of prisoners held captive on the island. The whole sequence is chaotic and a sight to behold, with Lee looking in full control as he takes on multiple opponents without breaking a sweat. Lee probably could have taken on all of Han's henchmen on his own. Number 8. Chen versus Hiroshi Suzuki, Fist of Fury. Everything in Fist of Fury is leading up to the battle between Jingwu School's Chen and the Hongku Dojo's master Hiroshi Suzuki. A scheming murderer directly responsible for the death of Chen's teacher, Suzuki fearfully hides behind a katana as he desperately tries to keep the hero and his nunchucks at a distance. The weapons represent the conflicting ideologies of the Jingwu School and the Hongku Dojo, while Chen smashing Suzuki multiple times in the face represents, well, that the protagonist is not especially fond of his opponent. While the fight is on the shorter side, every blow stresses the fact that Chen and Suzuki want to kill each other, and one of them eventually succeeds. Number 7. Mr. Lee versus Han, Enter the Dragon. Following a solid fight that ends with a spear stuck in a wall, Lee chases Han into a room of mirrors. More of a psychological than a physical fight, Lee and Han engage in a cat-and-mouse contest as the hero struggles to pick out the real villain from the many illusions caused by the mirrors. Bolstered by splendid cinematography and an intensity that does not let up for a second, Enter the Dragon's final battle stands out as a unique experience in Bruce Lee's impressive catalog of cinematic action scenes. Number 6. Bruce Lee versus Dan Inosanto, Game of Death. As just a percentage of Game of Death was filmed before Bruce Lee's untimely passing, who knows how much of Bruce's original vision is captured in the completed version. If the immaculate fight scene pitting Lee against Dan Inosanto is anything to go by, Game of Death was going to be something special. The two masters craft a flawlessly paced encounter that is just as much about the gaps between the blows as it is about the hits themselves. Locked in a game of chess with nunchucks, each move made by Lee and Inosanto is calculated, suspenseful, and gripping. Number 5. Chen Chaoan versus Xiaomi, the Big Boss. Also known as Fists of Fury, the Big Boss puts Bruce Lee on the map as an action movie star. Centering around a drug trade operating out of an ice factory, the film culminates with a brutal battle pitting Lee's Chen Chaoan against Xiaomi, the titular Big Boss. Marked by a vicious intensity that arguably none of Lee's subsequent movies would replicate, this bloody fight blends stellar stunt work with strategy and storytelling. Xiaomi grows more fearful of Chen and desperate as the battle progresses, culminating in a fantastic and narratively complementary final move. Number 4, Mr. Lee vs. OHara, Enter the Dragon. This is less of a contest and more of a prolonged execution. Mr. Lee meets OHara, the man responsible for his sister's death, in a shady martial arts tournament, and then proves that revenge is a dish best served with multiple blows to the head. While Bob Wall's OHara presents an imposing figure, the martial artist is absolutely dismantled by Lee. Once the desperate killer brings a broken bottle into play, OHara's fate is sealed. There are plenty of more complex fight scenes, but this battle effectively tells a story and highlights Bruce Lee's acting chops, all while still including a few jaw-dropping moves. Number 3, Tong Loon vs. Colt, The Way of the Dragon. In The Way of the Dragon's climax, Bruce Lee's Tong Loon faces off against Chuck Norris's Colt in a fight for the ages. Set in Rome's Colosseum, this is a true battle of the Goliaths as two masters earn each other's respect while holding absolutely nothing back. Tong comes across as unstoppable in most fights, but Colt gets plenty of good licks in, making the hero's eventual dominance all the more impressive. Lee gets to show off a wide range of moves, be it body chops or low kicks, while Norris helps ensure the fight is mesmerizing every step of the way. Number 2, the Honku Dojo fight, Fist of Fury. There are a number of great dojo fights in Fist of Fury, like the one that sees Chen killing Yoshida with his own sword. Another follows an intense and frustrating opening segment that involves representatives of a Japanese dojo mocking the deceased master of the Jingwu school. Chen decides to get some revenge. More than 24 students attempt to overwhelm him, only for each one of them to be taught an emphatic lesson.
还是全体呢？我一个人就够你受了。
Expertly choreographed to ensure each moment flows seamlessly from the last, this sequence is enthralling from beginning to end. Things only get better when Chen brings out the nunchucks, causing the students to collectively wish their dojo used brown gi. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1, the Ice Factory fight, The Big Boss. Putting aside a very brief fight that serves as a teaser of things to come, The Big Boss holds back on its Bruce Lee until the movie's final act. Then, Lee's Chang takes on the Big Boss's son and a gaggle of goons in an ice factory, creating history in the process. Along with being the first major cinematic showcase of Lee's martial arts, This sequence amplifies its dynamic stunt work with innovative use of weaponry and a willingness to get bloody. Tiny character moments like Chen tasting his own blood supplement the action splendidly, while there's just something satisfying about seeing Lee punch a guy through a wall. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.